Good morning and welcome to this September the 7th version of From Sunrise to Sunset with Pastor Gene. Today is Labor Day, so happy holiday to all of you, and I hope you're doing well. I want to say a word of appreciation to all of you who filled out the survey that went out last week. We're very grateful for that wealth of information that you provided with over 400 responses to it. And COVID response team is taking a look at all of that information, processing it. They processed a lot of it last week, and they're hoping to process the rest of it this week. It's about a 2-hour long meeting to just begin to dig into what we've got to do. So keep them in your prayers, and hopefully there'll be some recommendations coming soon. Today we're going to look at Matthew 14, 1 through 12, and it's the story of the death of John the Baptist. And if you recall in this story, or the way Matthew tells it, it's kind of a flashback. He says that John's already dead, and then he tells the story about how it happened. Apparently, there was a big banquet, and King Herod had the daughter of Herodias dancing in front of him, and he was enchanted, and he made her a promise that she could have anything that she wanted. And so she consulted her mother, and her mother said, the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Now, John had been in prison. Herod had put him there because of the fact that he was angry, according to the Gospels. He was angry over the fact that John the Baptist had accused him of breaking God's law concerning adultery. And he was sitting there in prison, and of course the mother was one of the parties of that adultery. So when she got asked the question, what do you want? She wants to silence this guy. And so because the king had made this promise, he had to act on it. You know, leaders get into trouble a lot of the time when they make promises and they have to keep them. They get into more trouble when they make a promise that they have to keep than a promise that they can't keep. Because generally people are very understanding of folks who can't keep a promise when they understand the circumstances why that happened. Or at least reasonable and rational people are able to do that. But in this case, the emotions were high. It's interesting that the historian Josephus records the death of John the Baptist in the Antiquities. The reason that he gives for the death of John the Baptist is because John the Baptist had become more popular than Herod, and he needed to do away with his rival. Now, that process of doing away with rivals and that kind of thing is an unholy process. Some of us may think that it's a good thing to do because we've got to rid the world of evil rivals. And if that's your mantra, then I'll pray for you. The other side to this is we need to be, as Christians, we need to be loving and understanding and impart grace, because that's what Christ taught. And so when we read a story like this, we think about how John spoke truth to power, and that was necessary. We think about how power sometimes responds to popularity. And one last thing here. Notice that the disciples of John come and take his body, much like the disciples of Jesus will later do when they come and take his body off of the cross. As you reflect on this message today, on this Labor Day, I hope that we will make it our business to be able to speak truth to power in ways that bring good results, that we won't be as much about eliminating others as we will bringing them into the fold, and that we will make that a process from sunrise to sunset.